Today we're looking at the fifth practice test and the writing and language portion, only the standard English convention problems. Number 4. The plastic hardens quickly. It allows the printer to build the layers of the final model. C is the best answer, which, because the relative pronoun which appropriately follows the independent clause, the plastic hardens quickly. It introduces the relative clause explaining what the fact that the plastic hardens quickly allows the printer to do. Number 5. A team, led by Drexel University professor Kenneth Lacovara, is making models of dinosaur bones 1/10 the bone's original sizes in order to learn how they fit together when the animals were alive. A is the best answer, no change, because no change is needed. The prepositional phrase in order and the infinitive to learn are appropriately used in conjunction to create an idiomatic phrase. Number 6. In the past, such research was limited by the weight and bulk of the fossils as well as its preciousness and fragility. C is the best answer because the personal plural pronoun there agrees in number with its antecedent, the plural noun fossils, and we needed the possessive form. Number 9. By contrast, researchers from the National Museum of Brazil has relied on this technique to study a fossilized skeleton that was discovered protruding from a rock at an old Sao Paulo railroad site. B was the best answer, relied, because the simple past tense verb relied is consistent with the other past tense verbs in the National Museum of Brazil example, such as dug and determined. Number 11. Examining the model, the researchers determined that one had found a new species, a 75-million-year-old crocodile. C was the best answer, they, because the plural pronoun they correctly refers to its plural antecedent, researchers. 14. These political machines were able to pack legislatures and courts with hand-picked supporters by purchasing votes, a form of election fraud involving the exchange of money or favors for votes. A, no change, is the best answer, because no words are needed between the noun phrase purchasing votes and the explanatory appositive phrase that follows it, a form of. 15. Boss Tweed's Tammany Hall Group, which controlled New York City in the 1860s, stole more than $30 million, the equivalent of more than $365 million today. B was the best answer. The comma after 1860s is used correctly with the comma after group to set off the inessential or non-restrictive clause which controlled the New York City in the 1860s. So if we had a comma here, we also need a comma to close the clause. 17. Tammany Hall was so powerful and corrupt that the New York Times commented, "There is absolutely nothing in the city which is beyond the reach of the insatiable gang." C is the best answer, because no comma is needed before commented. Don't need that one. And the comma after commented correctly separates the first part of the sentence from the quotation it introduces. So this one is necessary. Number 20. Eventually, Tweed and his gang were persecuted for a number of charges, including fraud and larceny, and many of them were sent to jail. D, prosecuted on, is the best answer, because the word prosecuted correctly indicates that Tweed was charged and tried for his crimes. The preposition on is idiomatic when used with the verb prosecuted. 21. In 1875, Tweed escaped from jail and fled to Spain, and unwittingly brought about one final pinnacle for the power of political cartoons. A Spanish police officer recognized Tweed from one of Nast's cartoons. A, no change, was the best answer, because the past tense verb brought is consistent with the other past tense verbs in the sentence, such as escaped and fled. 23. Many crowdfunding programs are all or nothing. In other words, the innovator must garner 100% funding for the project, or the money is refunded to the donors. At its best, the system can give creators direct access to millions of potential backers. B is the best answer, because the singular possessive pronoun its is correctly used to refer to the singular noun system. Remember that it''s is the conjunction or contraction it is. The possessive form does not have the apostrophe. 26. Artists such as these Brooklyn performers find that crowdfunding exacerbates problems that already exist. Work that is easily understood and appreciated is supported, while more complex work goes unnoticed. B is the best answer, because no commas are needed to set off the restrictive clause that is easily understood and appreciated that follows the subject. 29. Time that could be used creating art is spent devising clever perks to draw the attention of potential contributors. In addition, audiences may contain many free riders. They did not make contributions. C is the best choice because the pronoun who appropriately introduces a dependent clause defining free riders. Number 30. Ironically, the success of crowdfunding may weaken overall funding for the arts if people begin to feel that paying for the art loved by them is someone else's responsibility. B is the best answer because the plural pronoun they agrees in number with the plural noun people and results in a clear, straightforward clause. If people begin to feel that paying for the art they love is someone else's responsibility. 31. By subverting the presumption that money used for her project is an altruistic donation, the playwright showed that our work has monetary value to those who enjoy it. C is the best answer because the singular pronoun her is consistent with the pronoun her that is used earlier in the sentence to refer to the playwright. 35. It is not difficult to understand why a cash-strapped, understaffed publication might feel pressure to cut teams of investigative reporters. Their work is expensive and time-consuming. B is the best answer because the plural noun reporters is used correctly as the object of the preposition of, and because the colon appropriately joins two independent clauses, indicating that the second clause follows logically from the first. 36. Taking on the public interest, investigative journalism involves original, often long-form reporting on such topics as illegal activities, street crime, corporate wrongdoing, and political corruption. B is the best answer, undertaken in, because the phrase undertaken in appropriately identifies why and for whom investigative journalism is conducted. Number 40. While worrisome, the decline of traditional print media could not entail the end of investigative journalism. B, need, is the best answer, because the verb phrase need not entail, an inverted form of does not need to entail, appropriately conveys the writer's point, that the decline in traditional print media does not necessarily mean the end of investigative journalism. In other words, this possibility is real, but can be prevented. 42. Non-profit enterprises such as the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project have begun to fill the void created by staff losses at newspapers and magazines. A, no change, is the best answer because no punctuation is needed to separate the subject of the sentence, enterprises, from the adjective phrase beginning such as. 44. Far from marking the end of investigative journalism, cooperation among journalists and ordinary citizens has been facilitated by the advent of the digital age through an increase in the number of potential investigators. C is the best answer because the full subject of the independent clause, the advent of the digital age, directly follows the dependent clause that introduces it.